Greetings, friends. Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Shawn. Website can be found at scriptureandprophecy.com. That's where you go to find the archives, and that's where you go to support this mission of truth. Today, we are on day 24 of our 30-day gospel reading challenge, and we're ready for John chapter 16, verses 1 through 15. Now, yesterday, we kind of wrapped up John chapter 15, where Jesus kind of starts this conversation, or this warning rather, that if you're going to be his disciple, you are not greater than your master. And if they hated him, they're going to hate you. If they persecute him, they're going to persecute you. And he reminds us that the reason that they hate you and they hate him is because at the end of the day, they don't actually know the Father. Now, chapter 16 picks up where that leaves off. So open up your hearts this morning. We have a little bit more warning from Jesus, the cost of following him. In fact, I have a video, I don't know the exact name of it, but it's probably worded something along those lines on YouTube. It's a podcast teaching where we talk about the cost of following Christ. Because the reality is that it will cost you something. In fact, what the Bible promises, what Jesus himself promises, is that it costs you everything. But you also gain everything. I would recommend you go listen to that if you haven't heard it before. Okay. Chapter 16, verse 1. I have told you this to prevent you from falling away. They will expel you from the synagogues. Indeed, the hour is coming when anyone who kills you will believe that by doing so he is serving God. And people will do such things because they have not known the Father or me. But I have told you this, so that when the hour arrives, you will remember that I forewarned you about them. So please note, he's saying, look, the religious people, you're not even going to be welcome in the synagogues anymore. The hour's coming when that's going to be the situation. They're going to be expelling you from them. In fact, the day is coming when they're going to think that by killing you, some translations will say, they are doing God a favor. They will think that they're doing God a favor. And as we know from the story of the Apostle Paul, that was kind of his view in the beginning before he had his conversion on the road to Damascus, right? He thought he was doing the right thing by kind of ridding the synagogues of these heretics. And so there's a sense in which the blindness of these people in high religious places, they're so blind to the fact that Christ is Messiah, and they're so angry, and they just want to get rid of this nastiness. They actually think they're doing God a service. Jesus tells his disciples, listen, I have forewarned you about this. Now, I don't know the future, but what I do know is that there is a growing hostility towards Christianity here in the West. There's actually kind of two things happening. There's you kind of have a revival of some sense happening, where you have a bunch of young people who are really interested in traditional ancient Christianity. And you also have like this growing hostility, right? Now there's places around the world where hostility towards Christianity has always existed. Christianity is being persecuted at a really high rate in many places in the world. It's the most persecuted religion in the world by far, and it's not even close. Of course, it gets none of the attention. But we see this growing hostility in the West. And so I wouldn't be surprised if in the near future, unless this kind of this little spark of revival that we've seen over the last year or two grows into a massive fire and spreads all over the West rapidly, I could see us coming to a point in the very near future, which would be more in line with the end of days, right? Where in our day and in our time, even in the West, we could see this hatred for Christianity bloom into violence, like what Christ is warning his disciples that they were getting ready to face as he departed. Now he's getting ready to talk about his departure, which understandably causes great grief amongst the disciples because they don't understand. Continuing on through verse 4, let me just start back over with verse 4. But I have told you this, so that when the hour arrives, you may remember that I forewarned you about them. I did not tell you all of this previously because I was with you. But now I am going away to the one who sent me. Not one of you asked me, where are you going? However, because I have told you this, you are overcome with grief. Nevertheless, I am telling you the truth. It is better for you that I depart. For if I do not go away, the advocate will not come to you. Whereas if I go, I will send him to you. So please note, what's going on here? Why is it that Jesus has to go in order for the advocate to come, the comforter to come into the world? I'll give you some commentary from Matthew Henry here. He says Christ's departure was necessary to the comforter's coming. Sending the Spirit was to be the fruit of Christ's death, which was his going away. His bodily presence could be only in one place at one time, but his Spirit is everywhere, in all places, at all times, wherever 2 or 3 are gathered together in his name. See here, the office of the Spirit, first to reprove or to convince. Convincing work is the Spirit's work. He can do it effectually, and none but he. We'll stop there with that section of commentary. Let's continue on with our gospel reading here. And when he comes, verse 8, he will prove the world wrong about sin and righteousness and judgment. About sin, because they do not believe in me. About righteousness, because I am going to the Father, and you will see me no longer. About judgment, because the ruler of this world has been condemned. So he says that the Spirit's going to come in and it's going to convince, it's going to kind of prove or convict the world of these 3 things: sin, righteousness, and judgment. 3 things you never hear preached from a pulpit anymore, right? Isn't that interesting? 3 things that people get offended every time I bring up on a podcast: righteousness, holiness, talking about sin, warning about judgment. The Orthodox Study Bible says this: through the illumination brought by the Holy Spirit, the world will be convicted, that is, proven wrong. It will be convicted concerning its sin, the ultimate of which is denying Christ. Righteousness, which it failed to accept from Christ with faith and thanksgiving. And judgment, for all who reject Christ will receive the same penalty that Satan, the ruler of this world, has already received. Verse 12. I have much more to tell you, but you would not be able to bear it now. But when the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all the truth. He will not speak on his own authority, but he will speak what he hears, and he will declare to you the things that are coming. He will glorify me, for he will take what is mine and communicate it to you. Everything that the Father has is mine. That is why I said that he will take what is mine and communicate it to you. And that, my friends, is where our portion ends this morning. We're 24 days through, only 6 more episodes to go to wrap up our 30-day challenge. And then, of course, we'll be kind of resuming our standard format that we've done for years and years and years. But I'm hoping and praying that to the ones of you who have stuck through this, who have listened every single day, who have been supportive and been praying, I'm praying for you that these words are going forth, that they're piercing hearts, and that they're causing you to draw closer to Christ. And I'm hoping that having it, even though it's in small 15-minute increments, I'm hoping that having it every day is blessing you and strengthening you in your walk. Peace and grace be with all of you. And until next time, God bless.